Why is it when you need a miracle, it doesn't happen, but when you least expect it, it happens?
You are married, you have challenges in your relationship, but your spouse is unwilling to accede to any counseling. Is divorce an option?
How does a parent handle a promiscuous child?
What are considered the do's and don'ts of a born-again couple who is not yet married?
There are always more questions than answers. So here is Apostle Jemma.
Grace and peace to you. Welcome to Ask Pastor Jemma. I thank God for life. I thank God for my life, and I thank God for your life. And you may wonder why I say that all the time. It's because I treasure life. Every day that God gives me another opportunity to be alive, I thank Him and I'm grateful. And I pray that whatever He wants me to do for Him today, just today, one day at a time, I will fulfill it. And that's my prayer for you as well. In the event that you're a first timer, my name is Jemma Duncan. My husband, Apostle Vivian Duncan, and myself are the pastors of Divine Destiny Worship Center. Our headquarters is located on the Diego Martin Main Road opposite Sardonyx Drive in Diego Martin, Trinidad. There are branches in Sangre Grande, in Faizabad, in Shoguanas. There's a branch in Tobago and one on the island of Antigua. Our regularly scheduled service Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. live and online in all of the branches. The office hours are Monday to Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and the business center is opened from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Later on, we will give you information on two fronts. The latest book by Apostle Duncan and the reintroduction of the marriage confessional on TTT with Apostle Dion Duncan and his wife Leah. Today we continue on our Q&A as I promised. And today let's look at the question that is now poised for us. How can a team work well under a ministry leader who faces challenges in planning and organization and believes the team is well organized, even as the team tries to improve order? The question is a bit complex, but I try not to change the question. This is precisely what the person sent. And I am going to try to untangle the question and answer it to the best of my ability. There are some undertones that I want to say that are not clearly expressed, and I will talk about that in a bit. So we established that the questioner belongs to a team, and that team was put in place by a leader. It could be somebody working under a pastor, and the pastor gives this team, and that's what we do in Divine Destiny Worship Center, and I guess that's what is done almost everywhere. It could be in the workplace. It could be in different quarters where you work with a team and there is the supervisor, the boss, the chairperson, or however you want to call the team. We just say team leader. In his or her mind, the questioner thinks that the team faces challenges in planning and organization, or the team leader is facing challenges in planning and organization. So, from his point of view, from his perspective of his and her, I'm just saying his, so we wouldn't say his and her. The team seems to know what they're about, but the team leader seems not really accurate with what is supposed to be done. Because this is Ask Pastor Jemma, and because the setting that this was asked was a church setting, I am going to concentrate primarily in the church. So let's presume that the pastor is the person who brought the team together. And so these people on the team, as far as they are concerned, the pastor is falsely believing that the team is well organized, or what the instructions he gave, or whatever he said to be done, means that everything is okay. And this questioner is saying how you deal with that, because in his view, or the view of the rest of the team, he didn't indicate that It is not so. Now, let me put that plainly. I'm just trying to be nice here. You get the view that the team believes that the person in charge don't know what they're about. That's fundamentally what I get here. And that they in the team, well, of course, they will know what they're supposed to do and how it's supposed to be done. And one gets the idea that they may have been given specific instructions and the instructions given is not working or will not work. What are you to do? And finally, the questioner is saying that the team wants to improve the order. You're saying then that the leader is incompetent and lives in a fool's paradise, believes that he or she knows what they're doing and they don't, and you and the team know otherwise. Could that be a true scenario? Yes, it can. Unfortunately, there are many times in many spheres, not just in church, in the workplace, where a square peg is put in a round hole for whatever reason. Perhaps the person may have paper qualification and not much experience, because we know full well that if somebody has qualifications on paper but not enough experience, that there are times when the people who are under them or who they're supervising or superintending may have a lot more experience than they do. My first job was working in maternity hospital. And when new doctors came in, new in the sense of young, newly trained doctors, many times the seasoned nurses, the senior nurses, had to give the doctors a bit of direction. And of course, some would take it because they knew that they were fresh, and these people, if you reach what we call sister, or the person who is over the ward, you would have a lot of experience. And so they would accept whatever instruction you give, and well, it has a lot to do with the manner in which it is given. And some doctors will say, you are a mere nurse and I'm a qualified doctor, you can't tell me what to do. And many times they make grave errors. So that scenario is true or could happen across the board. If we shift something like that to any sphere, you would realize that as a senior person, you could actually learn from those people who you are supposed to be over or in charge of, let me say. For example, the practice in my day used to be that when a new teacher comes in, qualified or not, you would be fixed or annexed to a senior teacher. That person is called, and that person will guide you along. Now, what happens is that many times the new teacher is more qualified in terms of academic qualification than the senior person. And the new teacher may not want to take instructions from somebody who they're more qualified than. Now, they probably could learn a whole lot from that person who've had years of experience. I'll tell you something. My son, the eldest child, is a civil engineer. And he was talking about when he was doing his master's, there was a young man who was in the program whose father was a mason, a builder. And he said when they were doing concrete mixes, they would use a computer to determine the mix, because of course the computer will say add this, add that, this amount. When they try to make it practical, because you have to go out in the field and do it, many times the mix that the computer gave didn't come out right. Almost every single time, the young man whose father was in construction and he would go out with his father got the right mix. Simply because he had a feel of what it's supposed to look and feel like. So when he's mixing, he know add a little more cement, put a little more gravel, although the computer or what they had on paper said something. So Donald is, or Elisha, and he asked him, he said, how it is that you tend to get the mix right? And he said, my father is a builder. And so I have a sense of how it should feel and what it should look like. Now remember, his father has no qualification. He didn't study concrete, but he just over the years learned how to mix. And when they mix the concrete, he could just come, take the shovel, toss it and say, okay, add a little more of this, add a little more of that, or this is good. And this young man learned that. So I'm starting off by making a point that there are times when the leader doesn't really know everything that they should know. Now, put that to the church. God appoints a pastor, and the truth is the pastor is running a full plant. And when you say a plant, many times it's a full plant. There are a number of buildings on the plant. There are a number of areas that service different ministries and needs in the plant. And the pastor as one person will not have all the competencies necessary. That is why in churches you have ministry groups. And each ministry group is expected, and the pastor will choose that person with the view that you are going to use your giftings, use your competencies to help improve that particular situation. So let's see where we will go with that. We must agree, firstly, that God put the leader in place. Because when you look at the question and the underlying tone, there's a little attitude there. You are not the leader, and I will come to that, and understand that you probably will be more qualified than the leader. In Divine Destiny Worship Center, there are people who are more qualified, more educated, more skilled in a number of areas than Vivian will ever be. Yet, God put him in charge. He called him to lead. So what does he do? He puts things in place and tries to the best of his ability to put teams that are suited for the different areas that he would cause them to function. And their role is to help lift up his hands in those areas. He is not expected to know everything. And so that scenario that was expressed could be a real, true scenario. Secondly, not only did God put that person to lead, but God knows the person's weaknesses and strengths. And it doesn't matter who it is that God puts to lead, he could never or she could never have all the competencies needed to run the plant at church. Because you have the building to maintain. You have maintenance to do. So you have to get people. You have things like air condition to service. You have to have service men and women to do it. I mean, you name it. Other than the spiritual aspect and the teaching aspect and so on and so forth, other than the various ministries. And so that person has strengths, that person has weaknesses, and you have to accept that. Every leader is flawed in character. We're moving on. So every leader is flawed. Well, every person is flawed. Every human being is flawed. And because your leader is a human being, that person is flawed and limited in what they can do. I've taken my time. Yet God sovereignly chooses to use that person to lead. So here you are, working with a leader who you see as, well, you didn't use the word incompetent, but they don't know what they're doing, puts you in this team, gives you instructions, and, you know better than the leader. What do? It is God who gave you and that team the privilege of working with that leader. It is God who gave you the skill set that you have. And he has now privileged you and the team to be a part of furthering his kingdom in this particular area. A lot of humility would be necessary here because you would have to now accept the fact that perhaps you all know more than the leader. How do you deal with it? How do you treat with it? Accept the fact that although the leader is chosen by God, as I said, he's human and therefore limited in some areas. I repeated myself, recognize the privilege you enjoy You are being called to utilize your giftings to move the ministry along. And this one is very important. Understand your role is to strengthen the community by contributing what you can do to make it better. So you and your team have to understand that, you know what, we are privileged. God recognizes a gifting in me. He used the leader who is not as competent in that area as we are to give us this opportunity. So a lot of humility is necessary. I don't want you to forget that although you may be better qualified than the leader, God did not choose you to lead. God could have picked you. He didn't. So work with your team humbly and prayerfully. Pray for your leader. And to the best of your ability, do whatever is required of you. And I believe that the leader is going to recognize your giftings. He's going to recognize the skill set. I give you the example of my son and the lecturer or the professor would have given certain instructions. You put it in the computer and you mix the concrete a particular way. This young man would have added certain things to the concrete to get a better mix. That was not part of the instruction. And every time my son would say, his mix worked perfectly. After a while, the professor will recognize that although this boy or this young man is not as qualified as he is, and although the computer says something, he has a particular skill coming out of experience working with his father than the person in charge or the person who is teaching has. Now, I don't think that that person will be so full of themselves that you will reject what you're seeing with your eye and force that young man to go back to making the wrong mix when everybody else experienced, based on the stats that were given, that mix didn't work. I believe if you do the best of your ability, if your approach is humble, then in time, your leader will recognize and give you latitude and say, you know what, I would have previously given certain instructions. What you're doing is working. You know, this is really good. This is a better idea than I had. And I would suggest that you go there. That's what I will do. I am in charge of a few things. And some people have come in to, that particular ministry team where I used to do certain things. When those people came in, there's a specific lady, she had a skill set and she was obviously much more competent in doing whatever she did than I was. I was happy. And she was a very humble person. And she said, I'm thinking, I'm suggesting this, that, and the other. What do you think? And I said, you have the competency in the area. I am going to give you a free leeway to work it. Listen. It was wonderful. She brought the ministry, that particular area, to a level that I could not have brought it because she came with the ministry skills. But her whole approach was very humble. I knew her before, and I know she's a very competent person. And that's why I included her in the team. But she never tried to flaunt the fact that I didn't know her. Truthfully, I was doing the best that I can, but it wasn't all that good. And so I'm saying to you, have a bit of patience with your pastor. Work humbly and prayerfully. Never undermine your leader's authority. In time, God will open the leader's eyes to see what's lacking. And in time, God will elevate you to a position where you can demonstrate your skills, your ability to bless this ministry and further God's kingdom. So often, I've seen this played out in many cases where people who have to work with somebody who, to their mind, and it may be true as I admitted, is not as competent as they are in that particular area, that person went about it the wrong place and went head-on, locking horns with the leader and, trying to prove how incompetent that leader is. And they don't know what they're about and actually including other people in the discussion. That's not the way to go. wait on God, and God is going to give you opportunity to express the giftings that He has given to you and to make the ministry better.
I come before you just as I am. I lay me at your feet. I bring before you all that I have. I lay it at your feet. You are worthy, 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 Lord. You are worthy, 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 so praise like oil. For you I pour it out. For you I pour it out. I pour it out for you. Praise like oil. For you I pour it out. For you I pour it out. I pour it out for you. I pour this perfume not to impress the people standing around. I pour this perfume 'cause of your worthiness as I behold you now. 'Cause you are worthy, 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 Lord. You are worthy, 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 so praise like oil. For you I pour it out. For you I pour it out. I pour it out for you. Praise like oil. For you I pour it out. For you I pour it out. I pour it out for you. It's foolishness, I know, but your foolishness is wiser than mine.
Who is a leader? And what does leadership look like? Are leaders born? Or are they made? After 3 years and thousands of hours of research, author Duncan returns with his brand new book, A New Mindskin Leadership Superpowers, 100 governance proverbs for the marketplace. While each leader's journey is unique, there are some common principles which govern all leadership: good character, team building, change and crisis management, strategic thinking, upskilling yourself, emotional intelligence, communication, leading leaders, self-improvement, and doing the work. These form the 10 sections of the book, which each contain 10 chapters, followed by 3 superpower activation questions which help you immediately apply these principles to your own life. A New Mindskin Leadership Superpowers will be available in paperback, hardcover, ebook, and audiobook formats at Amazon.com, Audible, and all major online booksellers. Visit Amazon.com to order your copy today.
Hi everybody, I am Leah.
And I'm Dion.
And we are the Duncans. Listen, we're here to tell you about a project the Lord has given to us called the Marriage Confessional. It is geared toward married couples, those that are on the road to marriage, and those that want to get married one day.
So join us on TTT and on Facebook and YouTube at TTT Live Online.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Then Moses said, "Please, show me your glory." Exodus chapter 33 verse 18 in the Amplified Bible. In the spring of 2022, after 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic, God said that it was time for His church to begin preparing for the next great awakening. He said that what was coming next was a manifestation of His glory on a level that our generation had never seen before. While we have no quantitative means to prove the full extent of this, we believe that many Christians across the globe have also been looking forward to this unprecedented outpouring of the Holy Spirit. Some call it revival fire, while others call it a sovereign move of God. Some call it a shift in the Spirit, or any other number of titles. Nevertheless, we're all in some way or another referring to the same thing. God's presence will be manifested on the earth in such a remarkable fashion that it will forever change the trajectory of the Church of Jesus Christ first, and then the world. This book, Knowledge of the Glory, Preparing for the Next Great Awakening by author Duncan, is a prophetic message from God to help His church prepare for it. Available in paperback, hardcover, and e-book formats. Pick up your copy today at Amazon.com or any major online bookseller.
Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except by me."